March 25th, 2025. 11:18 p.m. Katy Perry posts 3 words on Instagram. Wait, am I? She's responding to a video morphing JonBenét Ramsey's face into hers, but here's what nobody noticed. 11:18, as in $118,000, the exact ransom demand for JonBenét Ramsey in 1996. The exact amount John Ramsey withdrew from his bank 3 days before his daughter's murder. Katy Perry just told us who she really is. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. I'm Percival Blackwood. At the 4-minute mark, I'm going to tell you about a police file that was recalled within hours of its release. And at 7 minutes, you'll hear why JonBenét's death certificate might be the biggest fraud in American criminal history. Let's start with what everyone can see. 2010. Katy Perry posts a childhood photo. The internet immediately spots it. She looks exactly like JonBenét Ramsey. Not similar, identical. Same bone structure, same haunted smile, same eyes that have seen too much. Dave Johnson ran the faces through recognition software in 2014. 94% match. That's higher than identical twins typically score. But Johnson found something else. Katy Perry's documented history begins in 1997. No school records in Santa Barbara before then, despite her claims of growing up there. The earliest verifiable trace of Katherine Hudson starts the year after JonBenét died. Here's where it gets weird. Johnson compared the parents, Keith Hudson and John Ramsey. Same jaw, same ears, same distinctive nose, bridge. Just add a shaved head. Mary Perry and Patsy Ramsey. Identical vocal patterns when analysed with audio software. Same southern accent bleeding through attempted California casual. December 23, 1996. 3 days before the murder, John Ramsey withdraws $118,000 in cash, his exact bonus amount, the exact ransom demand that would appear in a note 3 days later. This wasn't in the original police reports. It surfaced in a 2001 court filing that was sealed within days of being accidentally released. Why would you withdraw your exact bonus in cash before your daughter is supposedly kidnapped for that exact amount? The crime scene. Every expert who's reviewed it says the same thing. Staged. The rope was tied wrong for strangulation. The head wound came after death, not before. The ransom note, 3 pages long, written on paper from inside the house. Who writes a ransom note at the scene? Detective Linda Arndt, first investigator on scene. She gave one interview in 1999, then disappeared from public life. She said when John Ramsey brought up the body, it was theatrical. The interview only aired once. The network claimed they lost the tape. Arndt refused to elaborate and hasn't spoken publicly since. But here's the file that changes everything. 2016. A Freedom of Information request accidentally receives a document labelled Operation Mockingbird, Ramsey Protocol. Recalled within 4 hours. The journalist who saw it was threatened with prosecution. He said only, "It proves the family had federal protection." Mockingbird, the CIA's program for controlling media narratives. John Ramsey worked for Lockheed Martin, a defense contractor with deep intelligence connections. JonBenét performed at military bases. The family had unexplained wealth. The death certificate? Dr. John Meyer signed it. 6 months later he vanished, left his practice, no forwarding address. The nurse who assisted, Rebecca Carlson, dead in a single car accident, 1998. The coroner who performed the autopsy, retired immediately after, moved to Costa Rica. Every person who handled the body is gone. 2007. After years of failing to break into music, Katherine Hudson suddenly becomes Katy Perry and signs with Capitol Records. JonBenét would have been 17, old enough to restart a career without suspicion. The contract. A former Capitol Records executive revealed anonymously that Perry's deal has a unique clause. She can never submit to DNA testing for any public purpose. No ancestry shows, no charity drives, nothing. Name another pop star with that restriction. The Boulder police claim the case is active. but they haven't interviewed a new suspect in 5 years. The DNA evidence that could solve everything? Contaminated in 2018 during a routine review. Now unusable. Katy's lyrics. Wide awake, about being in the dark and finally seeing light. The one that got away, about a past self. Rise. I won't just survive, oh, you will see me thrive. Messages to those who thought she died? The AI morphing video that went viral this year doesn't just show similarity, it shows perfect bone structure alignment. Every measurement matches. The forensic artist who analysed it said the only way two faces match this perfectly is if they're the same person at different ages. Patsy Ramsey supposedly died of cancer in 2006. Closed casket funeral. John Ramsey remarried within 2 years, unusually fast for a grieving widower. Patsy's sisters haven't spoken publicly since 2007. Were they mourning a death or a disappearance? The Ramseys had connections to Santa Barbara through Patsy's sister. It would have been the perfect place to restart with new identities. Far from Colorado, but still in their network. Here's what haunts me. Every avenue that could definitively prove JonBenét is dead has been closed. The DNA is contaminated. The witnesses are dead. The files are sealed. The parents who could confess. One allegedly dead, one remarried and silent. The debunkers will tell you Katy was born in 1984, making her older than JonBenét. They'll show you yearbook photos, childhood friends' testimonies. They'll say the autopsy was real, the grief was real, the body in that basement was real. But explain the $118,000 withdrawal. Explain the theatrical comment. Explain the federal protection file. Explain why every physical trace that could prove JonBenét died has mysteriously vanished. Explain why Katy Perry posted at exactly 11:18. Either this is the most elaborate hoax in entertainment history, or we're watching the greatest tragedy in American crime. A little girl who was murdered at 6, or a little girl who was reborn as a star. The next time Firework comes on the radio, listen to the lyrics. Do you ever feel already buried deep? Maybe she's not speaking metaphorically. Maybe she's telling us exactly who she is. Someone who was buried in the public consciousness at 6 years old, only to explode into the spotlight years later. I'm Percival Blackwood, and this has been the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. $118,000, 11:18 p.m. Sometimes the truth isn't hidden. Sometimes it's screaming at us, and we refuse to hear it.